Hello, good morning. I am Steve Weber. Welcome to the American Gumption Morning Show. Today is Thursday, May 27th, and today is show number 180. 180. Hey, that's like a half a year, right? 360, 180. So not too bad, except that it's been about, this is the very end of the 10th month of my broadcasting. We started back in August, on August 3rd. And here we are finishing up 10 months of broadcasting regularly, show number 180. All righty. So I have a great guest coming up. Jedediah Crouch will join us in just about 12 minutes from now, and he's going to tell us his story of his awakening. But he has written a chapter in a book called The Pivot Project, and his chapter is called Awakened. So he's going to tell that story. And coincidentally, my monologue is called Awakening. And I'll just share a few of the moments or a few of the times in my life that I felt like, as I look back on it now, I had particular moments of awakening, and not all of them, but some of the highlight ones. So, and I've shared some of those before, but I'll go ahead and do that again to tie in with what Jedediah is going to share with us. So that's coming up. So before I do my monologue, I'll go ahead and just let you know that I am planning to broadcast tomorrow. I don't have a guest at this point, so I'll either come on and do a monologue, or I'll have a guest, which is always possible. There's lots of people that are queued up, but we just don't have someone confirmed for tomorrow. Now, next Tuesday, same situation. Don't have a guest confirmed, but I do have guests on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday next week. So Pam Gerard is going to join us on Wednesday. And we're going to talk about synchrodestinies, synchrodestinies. That's a Deepak Chopra coined term and book that he wrote, 16, 17 years ago. And so we'll just talk about some of those coincidences, except there are no coincidences, some of the coincidences that happen in our lives. So that'll be on Wednesday. Thursday, Shani Alvarez, she was a guest a couple of weeks ago, and she's going to come back and she's going to talk about her awakening. And then on Friday, Gwen Peterson, who is she was a guest here a month ago, and she is the founder of the Spiritual Communities Network. And so we'll be, talking about specifically, we talked about the Spiritual Communities Network last time that she was on. This time, we're going to talk about the specific way that she works with her clients and the way she helps people transition and awaken and develop their consciousness. And so obviously there's a theme of this show, and that's, living a conscious life and people awakening to do that. So, alrighty. So that's next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Planning to not do a show Monday, Memorial Day, but that could always change too. If someone shows up that, it's a good time for them to interview, I'll go ahead and just broadcast on Monday. So we'll see how that goes. All righty. So that's what's happening, but I will be here tomorrow. All righty. Now let's go ahead and shift gears and get into today's monologue. And again, I'm titling it Awakening, and the chapter of Jedediah's book is called Awakened. So there'll be a little bit of, balance between it. He'll get a chance. He'll get like 45 minutes to tell his story and what he's doing today. And then, so I'll just take about 10 minutes and just go through some of the, highlights of my life in terms of where I feel like I, went through that, moment where you're like, oh my gosh, things aren't exactly the way I thought they were, and then you kind of have that moment of elevation or consciousness or awareness or awakening, however you want to call it. So at age 19, I remember I attended a weekend retreat, and it was at that retreat when really the light bulb went off that it was like, oh my gosh, my attitude determines the life that I live. And so I made a conscious choice at that point that I was going to, try to have a more positive attitude. And it wasn't like I had a terribly negative attitude, but I went, let's have a positive attitude. So all through my 20s, I remember I went to California. I subscribed to Success Magazine. I listened to a lot of motivational tapes. I would get these cassettes like once a month in the mail, and I'd listen to them over and over and over again. And they all talked about, the one common thing they talked about was PMA, positive mental attitude, PMA, and it was all motivation things. But the likes of Zig Ziglar and Napoleon Hill, Russell Conwell wrote the book Acres of Diamonds, and Og Mandino, and The Greatest Salesman in the World, and that's like 4 of 30 different people that I ended up having cassettes and tapes from, and went through them and listened to them over and over and over again all through my 20s. All right. At my end of my late 20s, I gave up smoking marijuana, cannabis. I decided that 12 years of regular indulgence was enough, and it wasn't a good habit. And it was a habit that I knew that it wasn't good for me all along, but I was addicted, and it was just a hard habit to break, but finally I was able to do that. So that was kind of an awakening moment when I had that self-discipline to do it. Now, unfortunately, 5 years later, by my mid-30s, I had developed a drinking beer daily habit that lasted for another, another 25 years until I finally gave that up too. So anyway, I definitely went through a couple of addictions in terms of just like a regular routine. And as I look back on it now, I go, I lost my freedom during that time. I mean, it's like every day, if you're going to have to, do something, right, you don't have freedom. And so that was how that all worked out for me. 2009 was a major year for me. I always called it my year of transformation, but just recently in the last few months, I went, that was my first, that was my year of big awakening. And so I had these like early moments of awakening in my life, but then I kind of settled into a routine and a pattern, and, you didn't make any kind of quantum jumps. But then 2009, that was the year where blew it all out. And I realized the key thing is I realized there was a voice inside my head, and that voice was, basically running my life. And until you really become aware of that voice and start to pay attention to it on a day in and day out basis, you don't even understand what it's saying to you. It's talking and chattering the whole time, nonstop. And so anyway, that was that year doing that. I hear the gardeners are out there with the blowers going on. So hopefully that's not distracting too much. It's distracting me, but hopefully you're not hearing it too much. So anyway, I started paying attention to that voice inside my head, and that was really it was like the beginning of consciousness, where you go, oh my gosh, there's these programs running in the background that are just going constantly. And you have to become aware of those. And at the same time, I also started examining all of my core beliefs. In other words, what were the things that I learned as a child and had been, things that you just took for, you took them as truths. And, until you start, for me, I started unpacking those things and going through it and examining them. So that was all around the 2009. That was a big year. 2013, I had another kind of a quantum jump where I realized that there were several stories that were operating in my life over and over again. And I figured out those stories, and I uncovered them and kind of put them to rest, slayed the dragon, so to speak. And so that was a huge moment of awakening. And there was a lot of emotional release when those stories finally came to the surface, and I processed over a couple of month period, getting rid of those things. And that was a major important time. It was really 2014 when that all took place. And of course, that was that awareness that the conscious mind only is like the original positive mental attitude that I had. That's really like 5% of what's going on. But that 95% is that subconscious mind, those programs that operate in the background that just keep you repeating the same patterns over and over again. So, became aware of all that. And once you become aware of these things, and once you start paying attention to them, you can begin to, rewrite those programs and not let them be controlling you the whole time as they had done. So in December of 2016 is when I decided finally to live an alcohol-free life. I just went cold turkey one day. And for about a month, I was, 5 o'clock came and I was like, had to struggle in terms of like, be very aware that it would be very easy to slip back into it. But once that first month went by, and then that 6 weeks, and then into this beginning of that second month, I really started to feel physically better, and that motivated me to keep going. And then at about 4 months afterwards, I woke up one day and I went, oh my gosh, I've been sleeping really good at night, and I hadn't slept good for years and years and years. So that was all kept me motivating. And then I'm going to wrap up by just saying in 2018, I kind of had been living up in Montana for almost 12 or 10 years at that point. And I realized that, the life that I was living was no longer the life that I wanted to live. And I realized it was time to leave Montana and to go back out into the world. And here I am temporarily back in Pennsylvania. But, the goal and the plan is to get out on the road and live and work from the road the next 4 to 7 years in an RV traveling around. So as I went through that awakening, I went, oh my gosh, I got to get rid of a bunch of stuff, and I got to shed some beliefs. I got to shed some physical stuff, and I had to shed commitments that I had so that I could open up my life to start something new. And so that's really been kind of the highlights and some of the stories of my awakening. So let's go ahead and welcome our guest to the show. Jedediah Crouch is in the wings waiting for us. And now he is on here with us. Hello, Jedediah. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
All righty. Good. Well, thank you for joining us. So now, Jedediah, you don't know this because this is your first time on the show. But you've seen the show, so maybe you do know it. But there's 2 rules that we have here when a first-time guest comes on the show. Do you have any idea what they are?
Watch my language.
I'm not worried about that. No, the first rule is I get to read an introduction, a little bio on who you are to introduce you to the audience. And then the second thing is we have a guest theme, a musical song that I play, and it's called the First Time Guest Welcoming Theme. So but it's a one-time deal, like it's first time guest. If you ever come back again, we're just going to skip right over that first time guest theme. So are you down with this?
Hey, we're ready. We're ready to roll.
All right, good. Well, let me just here. Let me change positions. I'm going to put you in the big spot here. I'm going to move you over there, and then I'm going to elevate you to the big role. Let me change the background color. There we go. We'll put the blue up there. So and Jedediah on fire. It looks like you're on fire in the background there. Is that's not real fire going behind you?
You can only feel the burn for so long before you burn up and blow up, baby. You got to take control, put that fire down, baby, so you can shine.
All righty. Well, good. Well, here I'll read your bio, and then we'll play the song, and then we're going to turn it over to you. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. So Jedediah Crouch is a father, a leader, a jack of all trades within the construction industry, and now he is also an author. He was a contributing author to the book, The Pivot Project, Stories to Inspire the Shift in Your Lives. I'll repeat that. The Pivot Project, Stories to Inspire the Shift in Your Life. He wrote the chapter titled Awakened, and we're going to talk about that. The Pivot Project, the whole book, is a compilation of personal tales from all walks of life. It takes the reader on a journey with 10 new authors, each with their own chapter, through their inspired stories of perseverance, courage, and finding happiness. Jedediah is actively writing 2 additional books, 2 books. Fire to Inspire contains his original poetry and quotes of righteousness, spirituality, and inspiration. That's the book Fire to Inspire. And then Reflective Balance is his second book, and that focuses on examining character, morals, and values. Jedediah is currently reinventing himself from a lifetime as a physical laborer to a communicator, teacher, empathic listener, and healer. So yeah, you wanna give your body a little bit of a rest. We'll let you tell the story about how your body maybe got a little banged up over the years. His story is one of overcoming adversity, school of hard knocks, persevering, and finally to awaken. So Jedediah Crouch, welcome to the American Gumption Morning Show. I'm really glad you joined us this morning.
Awesome. So, me too.
Are you ready for the theme song, the first time guest theme song? Let's do it. Have you ever had a marching band welcome you to a broadcast before, Jedediah?
I just did.
All right. Well, good. Good. We like to, we American Gumption is all about positivity and encouragement. So we thought a marching band would be a good way to welcome first-time guests. So welcome.
Welcome. Thanks.
So let's go ahead and get into your story because you got a lot to share. If it's okay, let's just start and I read your chapter in the book, and you kind of go through the story, so I won't give it all away. But maybe to just get us started, I'll say that in childhood there was a fair amount of chaos. There were some broken dishes and stuff around the house. Meals weren't necessarily served at regular times, and the Crouch boys were like wild running animals through the streets or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Where'd you grow up, and what was that like?
I grew up in a little town called Lebanon, Indiana. We ran the streets. Mom and dad were alcoholics, drinking, fighting every night, and we did whatever we wanted. We had to fend for ourselves from an early age. And, we was always seeking for that attention that we never got from our elders and watching them just drinking and fighting. And so, it was easy to get into a drug habit early on. And then when I started selling drugs, I got all the attention I wanted. Everybody came to me. Everybody, would give me anything for me to give them what they wanted. And throughout time, I created an addiction I was enslaved to instant artificial gratification for years, and it ruled my life for many.
You, in the book, you talked about a teacher who was a good influence on you, and he encouraged you to do some writing, and he probably saw something in you. He probably saw some hurt and some pain, and he also saw potential. Tell us about him.
Yeah, it was actually she. She actually was a teacher that taught 3 generations of families in my local community. And after she retired from teaching, she goes out to the jail and helps kids get their GED out there. And I was helping her get gentlemen their GEDs back in the block. And so with that said, she asked me one day, she's like, you ever thought about writing a book? I was like, I never have, but I started writing poetry, and I would let her proofread my poems. And she's like, keep on going on this. And I was like, thanks. And I just kept going. I still write. And then this past few years been the best few years of my life. I started writing. I found my outlet. I found, a good way to manage my past and to shine with what I know, where I've been, where I came, and shine, help pull the next man out of the dungeon, keep flying, float and go with it, baby.
Yeah. What, do you remember what grade it was when she, reached out to you? You were young at that point.
Well, I was actually in jail, so I was over 18.
Okay.
I never had her in school, but she was there. I didn't have a relationship with her until after school, and I was in jail. Yeah. All righty. So, but I remember in the chapter in Awakened, you talked about having an awareness that
what your parents were doing was not something you wanted to do, and yet you kind of managed to slip into that same pattern. With the advantage of hindsight, I mean, how did you, you knew what you didn't want to do, and yet you went and ended up doing it anyway? How did that happen?
That it was just the hardest thing ever. I just knew what I knew, and I always told myself I don't want to be like this, but I didn't know other ways to do it. Till I hit rock bottom, got up, hit rock bottom, got up, hit rock bottom, got up. And the past year created for tomorrow's dream, and I didn't understand how to accept it, how to surrender myself and what I knew from what I was taught. And the only thing that I did know to become a better example for myself, to express a leader of heart that I am now of today, and to keep flowing in a smooth direction without having to, feel the burn. How can you feel the burn? You and burn all along, fighting fire for all the world to inspire. I've been in the darkness, and I don't want to live there no more. So we're going that way.
Awesome. Thank you. And we're going to get to the really good part of this, because there's a good ending. But you also went through a lot of physical pain in addition to your mental pain. I mean, you ended up breaking a few bones, getting run over by a car. What's the short version of all of that craziness?
Well, I was, with that said, I was enslaved to instant artificial gratification. I was, searching to get high, ways to how to get high. I didn't find myself. I couldn't be in no good relationships. I would jump in and out of relationships like no other to try to help heal me from inside out. But it was me that had to do the work, and I always looked somewhere else to do it. So when I was pointing that finger, I had 5.4 pointing right back at me saying, hey, you got to look at you, man. This ain't going to help you. This ain't going to help you till you find you from within, without, and make a stand and be like, hey, I don't want to do this no more. I want to be better than this. I'm better than that. I'm going to keep flowing forward and smoothly.
You obviously have turned the corner in terms of like where you were in darkness, and now you're in the light. What was the kind of moment when you went, you know what? Because you probably had a lot of those moments when you said something's got to change, but you didn't change it. What was it? What was the moment like when you finally did, were able to, tip the scales going the other direction?
It was about 5 years ago. I'm sitting down, after being in tons of relationships, and, nothing seems to be working, in and out of jail, drinking. I accustomed to a life of drinking, fighting, partying, and all the other good stuff that goes with that. And it finally came to a point where I'm like, man, I can't live like this no more. I'm lucky to be alive. I've been in quite a few car crashes, been trying to get killed, and I'm still alive, and I'm blessed to be alive. So I'm here for a reason. And when I accepted that, and I surrendered that old man I used to be, and brainstormed, the characters, thoughts, and values I was carrying with me for so long, and be like, hey, I got to address this from within, without, for me to become and better than what I was, and to lead by example by the new expression I built for myself, and understanding, the expression I led by for so many years. I was a drunk. I was lazy. I was a lousy man. I didn't have no good relationships I was in. I was trying to mask all these other feelings in me from someone else, but that wasn't working. I had to take total control from within, without, to be who I am today, and understand the expression I was leading by for years, and understand that we're going to change that expression, because that's not the expression I want to be. I want to have a high vibrant expression, that, gathers people towards me to feel the love, the light, and to want to be where I'm at, and the positive vibes, and understand how to keep them vibes positive.
Yeah. It ultimately comes down, it ultimately comes down to like self-love, where we have to finally just forgive ourselves and accept that we are God-like, we are all eternal. And, did you have that moment when suddenly like something like washed over you, and you felt like a relief that you had turned the corner, or was it like a struggle and until you got there? Was it kind of instantaneous, or was it like a slog for a year or two?
It's been a process. It's been a process of ups and downs. I've told myself plenty of times, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like my parents. I don't want to be this alcoholic, this raging drunk all the time. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of tearing down my temple. I'm tired of breaking every bone in my body. I have, and I'm like, hey, man, we got to quit this. I'm getting too over this shit. I'm sore. I'm sore. I'm still doing manual labor, construction, and I'm sore every day. But, we rise above and keep going.
Well, very good. Good. So go ahead and let's shift gears and talk about what you're doing today. You authored, you were contributing author with the book. We could talk about that. You could, you got the I Am magazine that you've worked with. You've developed your own kind of formula for helping people get through it. So where would you like to start next?
Cool. I'm going to start with my own experience. I got the 2-hand plan I Am Safe program. We all want to feel comfortable in our skin. We all want to be able to express our innermost being from within, without, and in a loving way, but I had to surrender that man I was for years. The I Am Safe program, 2-hand plan. I had to surrender, accept, forgive, and evolve for this new expression I created for myself. Once we evolve with that new expression, then people, places, and things change and fall into the plan just as it should be. But I had to surrender that man that I became, that was a raging drunk, that couldn't be in no good relationship with his children, with his wives, with his girlfriends. I had to accept that man that I became. I had to understand, I can't live like this no more. And I have to thoroughly get down and become a new man, because this man's going to die soon if I don't. Then I had to forgive every person that I harmed, where I came, where I've been, and all the things I created within that old expression. So after I forgave and gave myself that forgiveness of the gift to feel free and be able to evolve for this new expression, as I am safe now. And that's what I've always wanted to do, is feel safe. Then I created a 2-hand plan where you ever have these triggers to feel like that old expression it used to be. You got the 5-second backup rule, and count back 5 seconds, and you remember it changes your thought process from your triggers and your temptations and then you realize that the new expression that you became with your 5 senses, seeing, tasting, touching, smelling, and hearing. You can tell yourself, I love to hear the birds singing. I love to see the sunset. You start talking about the gratitude and gracious expressions of the moments that you live for now, and you put it together, baby. You become that new expression. Stay there. You got it right on your hands to remember who you was and who you became. These new expressions that you have developed for yourself.
The mentor you had, the woman who was the teacher, are you working with her still today? Is she still active in?
She's still there. I'm working on getting my recovery coaching going, so I can actually get back in the jail and talk to recovering addicts at this time. I go to local meetings around here and share my stories and grab them. Say, hey man, we don't have to live like that no more. Come on, man. Let's shine that light, baby. Let's live for today, live for the now, and express our moment to the best.
I'm guessing that you teaching and helping others is part of the recovery process for yourself.
It really is. I keep what I have by giving it away. When I could put a smile on X-Man face, and he gets that smile back, and he's happy that he's felt somewhere that he's never felt before, and don't ever want to go back to the old man he used to be, man, that puts a big old smile on my face.
Have you experienced yourself where you're helping somebody and you kind of see maybe in their eyes, like kind of that moment when they awakened and they get it? Have you experienced that yourself?
Yeah, it give you chills now. They see that smile coming back. You see that charm in their eyes come back, and then they're like, then they get the confidence back in themselves. Like, hey, why didn't we do this all along? It's like, well, you need to go through a few things, but now you got it, baby. Now keep on rolling.
Yeah, this is good. So this is what's the biggest challenge? When you're working with people, because these are cases. It sounds like you're working, Jedediah, with people who are probably have a more similar background to yourself, where it's like they got to make some change. They got to make some pretty big changes in their lives. What's the hardest thing for them to end up doing out of like that first hand with the 5 steps of surrender and accept and forgive and evolve? What do you see as the biggest challenge for most of them?
The very first one, you have to surrender that man that you used to be. You have to totally let him go. It's not working. You want to die, you want to live. The choice is yours. I can lead a man to water, but I can't make him drink it. But I'm going to explain to him where I've been, where I came, how I did it. And, life gets so much better. You take control of your life. You're enslaved right now to artificial gratification, instant artificial gratification. You're a slave to it. You're not even living your own life because you can't even control it without having consuming something and ingesting toxins into your temple and being controlled by something else. You take control of your life. You want to live or you want to die. Times now. Let's appreciate the moment, live for the moment, love the moment, give, love, laugh, and grow, baby.
Awesome. You are the father of 4 children?
That's correct.
And I'm guessing there was a little bit of repair work that you needed to do there, or how did that go?
There's a lot of repair work. We're still going through the repair work. My oldest girls, they seen that crazy wild man coming in and out of jail, drinking, fighting, and all that crazy stuff. 22 and 18. And my oldest just graduated college. Very proud of her. And my 18-year-old just graduated high school. And my boys, 16 and 9, it's one of the biggest things ever. It's like, these kids are growing up without me, and I'm their dad. I'm their blood. I said, I got to get my head out of my ass.
Yeah. And I imagine their mother wasn't pleased with you, in those years of the chaos.
She wasn't pleased with me, but bless her heart, she went through hell. And, when she left me, it broke my heart, but that was the best thing she probably ever did because I wasn't ready yet.
Yeah, good. So I did see a picture recently on Facebook that you were with your, I think it might have been your 16-year-old son, and you guys were out fishing for the day. And so It sounds like you've been able to, create a new relationship with those guys. Maybe a little easier with the boys than the girls who were older and saw more of the chaos. So I don't know.
It really is. I tell them, but I'll let them take their time. They couldn't trust me for years. So just to them jump back right into my life, it'd be kind of ridiculous to even ask for due to what they've seen, what I showed them for years. So it's going to take time, and I'll be patient with that. They know I love them. And then I'll lead by example and let them see the dad that they always wanted, who he became, who he is now. So when it's their time, it's their time.
Yeah, very good. So do you want to talk about your books that you're writing, the Fire to Inspire, Reflective Balance?
Yeah, reflective balance is about trial and error, about going through and understanding the past and the lessons and everything you go through and understand it to complete yourself, become one back to the source. It's examining your true character, examining who you want to be, where you want to go, how you're going to get there, and expressing yourself to the fullest from the inside out. We are light and love all on the inside, and we have the right and opportunity to express it every moment of it. And that was about, me going through this evolution of consciousness, me going through my ups and downs, my relapses, my hurt relationships, me not being a dad for years, me not having no good relationships till I found myself. And that's about reflective balances, reflecting all these ins and outs and becoming one back to the source and living fully for me, no one else, not being a slave to nothing else, feeling free inside, feeling free outside, and giving, loving, and loving every moment of it, expressing myself to thirst. Fire to Inspire is inspirational quotes. It's about after the awakening and inspirational quotes and, righteous quotes, talk a little bit about character in there, about who you want to be, who you are, and so forth, so on. But it's all good. I've been writing Fire to Inspire for quite some time, but Reflective Balance had to come in there before Fire to Inspire comes out, because Reflective Balance is who I found myself in the awakening process to become, and Fire to Inspire is after the awakening, shining and glowing, baby. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. I in 2009, that was kind of the year when I kind of finally went, okay, I can't live the life that I've been living. I 49 or 50 years on the earth at that point. And I went, okay, there's things that just aren't working. My situation was different than yours, but it was the same in the sense that, what I had been doing wasn't, filling my soul, wasn't, where I wanted to go with it. And I went back at that point and started, I thought I was going to write kind of an inspirational message for others. I had been the Forrest Gump. I had these life lessons from the movie, and I thought I could just kind of transfer that into an inspirational story. But the problem is that I didn't know who I was, and I had to decide. And as I started to decide who I was, I went, oh my gosh, I've got all these old beliefs. And then I had to go back through them almost one by one and re-examine and decide, is this one worth keeping or does this have to be discarded? And that process takes quite a bit of time. This is not this is not something you do like in a weekend. This is something that takes, weeks, months, years to process all of it.
It really is. You have to self-examine your character, values, morals, and be like, who am I? Who do I want to be? What works, what don't work, what has worked, what hasn't worked. Where am I going? Is this all prosperous? What do I attach to? Is it prosperously lead me in the direction I want to go now? Is this going to prosperously, build the momentum that I create for myself to keep flowing, keep moving in a positive direction? It does not happen overnight. It took me a long time to figure it out. And I'm glad I'm here now. And I'm glad I'm not enslaved like I used to be.
Yeah. Freedom. When I think about my own recovery in terms of, I smoked pot for 12 years. I gave that up. I had the strength to do that. And then like 5 years later, I, replaced it with beer. And, and it wasn't like, it wasn't complete chaos, but it was consistent. It was like a daily drip, drip, drip. And in my case, the best day I could do is take 2 steps forward and 1 step backward. And then like there were days when I was like 1 step forward, 1 step backward, so I was just like kind of treading water, and so ultimately I was able to finally go, what, this is just not what I want to be part of, and getting rid of it. Your case was a little different in the sense that, your darkness kind of was more of a point where you had, I guess, no choice but to surrender and give up.
Yeah. Either that or die, one or the other,
Yeah. So I don't know what's worse. I mean, we'll just throw this out there. What's worse? You die from one form of addiction, or you just live a very mediocre life where you're just like 1 step forward, 1 step backward every day, and you're existing and you're alive, but you're not going anywhere. So anyway, we don't have an answer to that. We don't have to answer it. We'll just leave it out there.
Right. Yeah. Addiction don't discriminate. You could be rich and have it all and want to be live life to the fullest and be high as high can get and have it all. Or you can have nothing and be as high as it can get, or have nothing, not care what you have, and stay there. The choice is up to you. It's your right. It's your temple. You own it, baby. You express it to the fullest, because we live once and we're going to shine.
Yeah. Wow. Reflective balance. Do you see it as kind of just your own story in terms of how you did it, or do you kind of are you planning to offer the readers like a kind of a blueprint on how they can, discover what their character and morals and values really are?
The I Am Safe program will be throughout, and there will be a workbook with it. It's in planning. It's all coming together slowly but surely, but it's all there. It's just me getting it all together, I guess.
No. And again, this takes time. So
it does. It ain't happen overnight. I know I didn't get here overnight.
That's right.
I know I came into this world free, and I'm gonna stay free.
Oh, good. Hey, so Fire to Inspire. There was a quote that I came because you said that there's quotes, inspirations, your own original poetry, but I've taken a lot of inspiration from, others' quotes and different people, as I've read and learned about it. And as I started writing back in 2009, because I hadn't done much writing before that, but I decided I needed to do it. And what I learned, there's a Michener quote that I came across shortly thereafter, and it said, "I never know what I think about something until I read what I wrote about it. I never know what I think about something until I read what I wrote about it." That really that's how writing was for me. Once I wrote something, then I would look at it, and it was almost like I was looking at like somebody else wrote it, and I'm like, is this true or not? Do I believe this? And that was the therapy that was really good for me. Was writing, or has writing been like that therapy for you?
That's exactly, I found my outlet in writing. And then when people started liking my poems and started sharing my poems with other people, I was like, oh man, this is it. And I love rereading them and adding to them. And then sometimes I don't know where to stop. That's right. I have to create my boundaries, my limits. And a lot of my poems are just five lines, and they get better. I go back in and I change them, and I try to run with them to roll smooth and to connect and use simple words to be able to connect with all. And then we got our ups and downs with them. Sometimes some people won't understand, sometimes people will, but we're all different. We all didn't get in here overnight. We're all on our different plank of love and life. So it's going to touch the next man, and that's all I can do is channel and keep reaching out, keep touching the next man, and keep on channeling with what I got, what I know, and spread it out to reach out and get it out there, and it just starts flying, taking off.
You said the term channeling, and people musicians often write or talk about as they reflect back on a particular song that they wrote, where it just came to them, and they ended up writing like 90% of the song within like a 1 hour setting, where they just sat down and boom, it comes out. They're obviously connected to source energy. They're channeling. Is that how it is for you when you write the poetry?
Yeah. It just comes. When I wake up, I have to follow my intuition and what I feel and how I feel. When I let that fly, it comes right out, and I'll just start writing and taking off. And I really felt it. The coolest thing I felt about the I Am magazine is I was putting off. And then one day I said, okay, we're going to do it. And bam, I got it done, really quick. So I was like, wow. Okay, this is it.
Tell us about I Am magazine. And I looked at it myself, but I didn't, I'd like you to share what I Am magazine is all about.
I Am magazine is testimonies from people all around the world. It's an international magazine, and it talks about their story, who they became, who they are now, how they overcame the darkness to shed their light with the next, so they don't have to feel it or become, in that darkness, to have to try to reach out to find themselves. We're trying to shed our stories to help the next man before they even get that deep down in the dungeon to have to be pulled out. We want you to take full responsibility of your actions and pull yourself out of it before it gets too deep or you're dead. And it's really cool magazine. It's awesome.
Yeah. So have you contributed and written articles for it, or have you just taken inspiration from it? What's your relationship with the magazine today?
I actually told my story about the I Am Safe program, and I was in the evolution month of April. Evolution of consciousness is what I talked about in the I Am Safe. How many times I had to go through the hell and the getting burnt to I decided, hey, enough is enough. And then I explained how I did it, and that's where we came up with the I Am Safe program, 2 plan, and told a little bit of my story in there. And, you talked about when I grew up in this little town, who I was, how I was for years, and then who I became and who I am now.
Yeah. So you are from Indiana. I recently drove across the country. We communicated with each other, and I was passing through Indiana, but I didn't have a chance to stop. Tell people just about your state, because maybe people who haven't been to Indiana before. What's
in Indianapolis 500 is here, the biggest race in the world, and it's right down the road, 20 minutes from me. Lebanon, Indiana's got the biggest limestone pillars in the world. The film Hoosiers basketball was filmed right up the road, and parts of it was actually shown in our memory hall here in Lebanon. Cool little town that's growing fast as can be. Other than that, we're proud of it. We're laid back little town, and I got surrounded by a bunch of cornfields, a bunch of thoroughbred farm working boys. And
you've been we've talked about this off air. You've been a guy who's used his hands, used his brains to build things all of your life, and yet I know are in that transitional period where continuing to do that is not going to physically work for you, but it's probably not going to mentally work for you because of the experiences you had. How do you see yourself in the next couple of years really transitioning? What's the journey look like?
It's looking great. I just got to keep my head above water, and keep doing what I'm doing, and understand what to attach to, what not to attach to, what to hold on to. That's leading me in the proper direction I want to head into. It's time to get out of the construction field. I've been doing it all my life. And with that said, that comes a big past with all that too. And that's not the man I am no more. So with that said, I want to get down and work one-on-one with people, share my program, share my heart of love with the next man, pull them out of the dungeon. If they're asking for it, asking you to receive, I'm the light at the door, knocking you to believe in yourself once more. Never give up, build the confidence in the next man, let self-esteem grow, show them that they can do it on their own. The AA says, keep coming back worse every work. Well, I don't want you to come back. I want you to get the shit right. I want you to go that way, baby, not come back. It does happen, but it's not where I want to leave you. I want you to have the confidence in yourself, build that self-esteem back up and take off rolling on your own, take full responsibility for every action you take.
One of the challenges that I had, and I had a friend who who was also giving up, converting to an alcohol-free lifestyle. And in her case, it was a little more apparent than mine, but still there were things that, I used to do that suddenly became not things I could still want to do, but things that I probably, there was a time when I shouldn't go do them because there was like temptation, and there was, like friends who were, into one type of a lifestyle. And as I was trying to create a new lifestyle, you had to find new people to hang out with. Is that still an issue with you? Because it's clearly an issue with people who are at that kind of critical moment. So how do you help people with that these days?
That's the thing. And I tell them never give up. And when you evolve for this new expression, everything starts to come into play, and just let it flow. Because once you have that new expression, the other things don't flow with you no more, because you create a new man inside, and everything will start to fall into place. But you got to keep at it and never give up and keep rolling with that new expression. Everything will start to fall into place. Have patience, because we didn't get here overnight. I know my drinking and dragging didn't put me where I'm at today overnight, and it's going to take time to get on top of it and start rolling smoothly.
All righty. Well, as we kind of get to the point where we could wrap up here, I have a question for you. Have you ever seen the movie Forrest Gump?
Years ago.
All righty. So was there any particular lesson or memory that you have that is relatable to what the experience that you've gone through?
Yeah, he never gave up. He just keeps running.
Yeah. What's funny about it is Lieutenant Dan had his own addiction issues. Jenny, she had her addiction issues. Forrest in some ways was kind of like the most stable one in the movie, but he was surrounded with these people who had a little more chaos and turmoil, and they both managed to recover. And you like to think that probably his positive influence was helpful, and now you are that positive influence for others.
Absolutely.
All right.
It feels really good. Be on their side of stepping stone, baby.
Well, I sure appreciate that you took the time to join us today. In closing, is there anything you'd like to share and let the audience know, and how can people reach you?
Cool. Facebook. Yeah, cool. I'm on Facebook. That'd be fine. You never give up. We don't need to live in the darkness no more. We can shine. Keep them vibes high, baby. You just keep rolling. It'll all come to. Never give up. Well, like tell Debbie, Saf, hey, much love to all y'all. Spiritual Light Gone Wild. Peace. See you next time.
Yeah, no, that's exactly where we met. Is you somehow you discovered Spirituality Gone Wild, and then you just became friends with us here. And I'm grateful that you joined. You joined me today, and you were encouraging. And I know we talked about this. You really kind of dove in because you had the time. You were in a it was in the winter, and you were maybe, I don't know, you had maybe a surgery or something you were recovering from, and so you had more time. But then you how do you manage like the idea that like you want to be on this spiritual journey, you want to awaken, you want to create something new, and yet you still got to live in that 3D world, like where we got to put bread on the table and survive. And
right, if I can, I like to get in when I'm driving from job site to job site, and it gets, doing construction all my life, I'm kind of used to it. But, when I did have I got out of the concrete business. I can't throw concrete around no more every day. And I kind of had a little surgery from that, and I had some downtime, and that's where I was able to find spirituality gone wild, which was pretty cool. And I loved sharing my insights, sharing my thoughts, and when I feel something, I just get out there and I say it, and I love joining you guys, and you guys got a lot of remarkable people with all y'all, but keep them vibes high, and that's where I want to be. Same spot, same place. I got to take care of me at the same time, and I put food on the table, but when I eat good, we all eat good. So we're going to keep striving in a positive direction, and it'll all come to.
All righty. Well, thank you, Jedediah. We sure appreciate your taking the time, and come back and join us again when let's see, the reflective balance and fire when reflective balance and or fire to inspire is published, you can come back and share some of that with us. How's that?
Sure will. Sounds great.
All righty. Well, thank you so much. All righty. Well, Jedediah Crouch, coming from Indiana, and greatly appreciate the fact that he shared his story of how he had to, reinvent himself. And, if Jedediah can reinvent himself, it's really proof that any of us can, just because, he found himself in a without without the role models on how to create a good life. And yet he ultimately found them and has done that. And now he's helping others. So thank you for the work you're doing, Jedediah. All righty. Well, let's wrap up. Let's get out of here. We're a few minutes early. That's okay. So I will be here tomorrow. Maybe it's a monologue only show. Maybe I'll have a guest. I'm not 100% sure. I'm recording a interview tomorrow afternoon that I'll be able to broadcast in the future. One of the things that after I did my drive across America, I said, hey, I'm going to make some changes, because I need to be getting ready to go out there and live and work from the road. So I've done a couple of live remote shows so far. I'm going to continue to do those. And I'm going to also do what I'm going to call pre-recorded shows where I record the interview, and then I'll probably come on live at my normal time, do the intro, play the recorded interview, and then, wrap up the show. So we're going to record our first interview tomorrow afternoon that I'll be able to broadcast either next week or the week after that. And American Gumption keeps evolving, getting ready for the future where I'm living and working from the road in the RV, meeting people. All righty. So that's it. I'll be here tomorrow. Probably not going to be here Monday, although that could change if someone, it just turns out that it's the right time to interview them. And then next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, Pam Gerard. Thursday is Shani Alvarez, and Friday is Gwen Peterson. So we'll look forward and welcome those ladies back to the show. All of them have been here once before. All righty. Well, have a great rest of your Thursday, and I will see you tomorrow.